Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Eli. I'm a personal trainer, a life coach, and I currently have a job in aerospace. I like to think I have my shit together and I have some things to share. So I want to make my first YouTube video on something that I hope can change your life. So my purpose here in the world, best as I've been able to figure out, is to help people and specifically help people change their life. I grew up in a trailer park. My mom left me. My dad was never capable of taking care of me. I had to take care of him for the most part. He's currently in the hospital right now as I am saying this because he's had a stroke. Anyways, the reason that I'm here is to share with you something that I think can immediately and hopefully benefit your life. I want to share how I made a revenue generating business in about 2 weeks with AI. I see a lot of videos with AI where it's just like, I see a lot of videos with AI where it's people saying, oh, AI can do this, make an agent, spin up an agent. And then you just, if you really look at it, a lot of people, unless you're some expert level software engineer who has a huge plan, which is great. You don't have to be a software engineer to utilize AI and all that stuff. But for kind of normal people that maybe have a job and want to figure out exactly how to use AI in their day-to-day life, besides just making grocery lists and sending little reminders, whatever, I wanted to share what I created in 2 weeks that generated so far $1,200 in revenue. And it actually created so much, the reaction was bigger than I expected. And therefore I had to turn off advertising on this product that I created. So I made two things. I'm going to tell you about the first one, which failed. Or it didn't fail. It actually was also creating revenue. I just didn't want to do it. And then I'll tell you about the second one, which I do like doing and generates revenue as well. So the first one was a matchmaking company. So I identified a need in the market, which is a massive amount of, basically, I'll get into this later, but it's a massive amount of suffering that is happening in the dating market. All right. I use the word suffering on purpose because it's very poignant. And I think if you let me, if you stay long enough to hear me elaborate, you'll learn why I said that. Anyways, there's a lot of relationship chaos in the dating market right now. You got dating apps and social media, which have basically made women have their ego goes through the roof and they get as much attention and validation as they want, which is essentially the currency of women to start. And I say that in the sense of, like, especially when you're meeting someone for the first time, your attention and their attraction to you, it all has a lot more value there. If you're already in a relationship or you got a girlfriend, of course, attention and validation, those are normal parts of a relationship. So I'm not knocking it in that way. But, in the general dating market for a normal guy and a normal woman, it's really skewed things quite a bit. So all of that leads to a lot of turmoil and misunderstanding and, frankly, delusion on both parties, I guess, men and women in the dating market. And ultimately that leads to suffering. Okay. And so my purpose is to try and reduce the amount of suffering we all experience in our day-to-day lives. That's part of what I do as a life coach. That's part of what I do as a personal trainer, right? People are coming in with problems with their body, or they're not sure how to pick up weights and they don't have someone to tell them, right? They're suffering in some way, and it could just be, I'm not happy with my body. I'm not happy with this, or I want to get stronger, or I'm scared of aging, and all these things. People are what I call suffering. So that'll be a separate video I got to make. I think I'll just give you a little hint. I think the root cause and the real reason you want to start any business is to help reduce people's suffering. People will pay a lot of money not to suffer in whatever ways that is. Suffering doesn't just have to be, my dad died. That is a form of suffering that I'm getting, acquainting with in my future, is what I feel. But the point of that is suffering is in all forms. Okay, most of it's in our mind, and we'll talk about that later. But for the purpose of this video, that's why I made the matchmaking site. So what I did is I went to Lovable, which is one of these AI website makers. So I skipped Squarespace, I skipped Wix. I didn't want to waste my time there because I've done those before, and I'm sure they have AI stuff now. I just, Lovable was the first one that I found. I thought it had a really good UI, and specifically it was really good at rendering good user interface. I like the graphics and the visuals and the designs it came up with off the bat, just from a single prompt. It was right on target for what I was looking for when I first did it. So I created a matchmaking website. And then to do that, I had to figure out, what is my style of matchmaking? How am I going to be a good matchmaker? And it's not like I have zero experience with relationships and women and, dealing with the stuff that men deal with and dealing with things that women deal with and trying to bridge the gap. I have a lot of experience back there. So matchmaking is a weird business, but it's a lucrative one. And it's one that I knew that I could be really good at. And the results did speak for themselves. I had clients, I had people that were interested. I have hundreds of people that signed up, and I was putting people on dates. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't a place that I wanted to put more of my energy. But let me get into a few more details about what I did. So I created a website, Lovable, and then I picked a specific niche. Like, why am I a good matchmaker? Why would someone trust me to matchmake them? Which is, again, I know that this is so weird hearing this. You probably weren't expecting this being a business, but this is what I think that this is how we can use AI, right? You take a normal guy like me, like I consider myself, and now I can be a matchmaker, okay? Because it allows me to apply what I call genius. We all have a genius. It allows me to apply a genius that I've either learned or developed, or by reading and experience and all this stuff. I get to apply that to this niche, which happens to be matchmaking. So I made this Lovable website. It had a great landing page. Obviously, the landing page is where you're going to get the first immediate 10 seconds, if you're lucky, is someone's going to keep browsing. So I made it very professional. I had a Google login, and you can do all this with Lovable in, I'd probably say, less than 2 hours. I had a beautiful looking website in less than 2 hours. The hardest part was just populating all the details, but that matters, right? It's like, frequently asked questions. Why is Eli a good matchmaker? What is it about me that would make me be a good matchmaker? So I populated that. I gave a hint. The reason I'm telling you this is because I have my little secret sauce, which I will tell you in future videos. But I want you to hit like and subscribe and stay with me to stick around and learn the secret sauce of relationships and how to make them work and how you can help people, or how I help people in their relationships, and I coach them through how to create wonderful, loving relationships that immediately have attraction, can build attraction, and maintain attraction over time, which is really what you got to do in these relationships, right? We have a huge market right now of people getting not, first of all, not even dating, and then they're getting divorced. I mean, this whole trend of women that got married at some point in time and then later found out at whatever age they find out, like, I didn't want to do that. That's happening. Okay. And if you're worried about it, you're on the rocks. This video is for you because it's happening and there's ways to prevent it. And that's one of the things I coach on. So anyways, I created this matchmaking site. We have a beautiful landing page. I created a whole database back end within Lovable. I basically just communicated to Lovable with the prompts. And I said, hey, here's how I'd like the database to be structured. I need a front end. I need to be able to look at the database. I need to be able to understand how to interact with the people and the data points inside of my database. So I'm saving their name, their about me. I'm having a quiz, and I built this quiz with Lovable, again, or just any AI tool. I basically just said, hey, AI, give me, the past 20 years, or whatever is the most modern and empirically referenced information about relationships and longevity in relationships from all different sources. Build me a quiz that addresses those top 20 things. And if you really look at like what Bumble and Hinge and all these places, first of all, they suck at that. I mean, let me just go on a rant really quick that those companies have the most resources, the most brain power, and they have had this for decades. They have a monopoly on this market. And there's AI now. So what the hell? It's like not that hard to break down. It's not that hard to break down people into specific kind of data points, especially when they have potentially months and years worth of people on these apps and their attraction levels and how other people are measured, right? I'm sure Hinge could probably tell me, it could give me a rating right now and say, hey, you're rated as a 6.9 or something. That'd be great. You're rated as a 6.9 in an attractive scale of 1 to 10. Well, that's so easy. Okay, so immediately, just based off attraction, which matters, Hinge could match me with other people in that range, and it would have a higher chance, a higher probability of success. Okay, because in general, humans date within their own attractiveness level. We're all trying to go up. Maybe we'll go down. But it's generally the same. If you're a 5, you're going to date someone around a 5. If you're a 10, you're going to date someone around a 10. That's how it works. So it's like, why aren't these AI companies doing that? So that's what led me to do this. Is I realized, I was like, okay, they have all this power. They clearly are not knowing what to do, or they're not doing it at least. I mean, it could be very simple for them to actually find compatible matches for people in the dating market. So anyways, I just took this as an opportunity. I saw this as a signal. It's like, okay, we have these companies that are doing it wrong. So what is my competitive advantage? What is going to be unique about what I do to this? And so I apply this human aspect to it. So I had to build this website. I drive people to the landing page. I simply use Google Ads and I use Instagram ads to do that. Okay, make a cute little mock-up, and you get people hooked, and it has to, or you hook them in, and you got to tell them why you're unique. My whole thing was that it was an exclusive and selective dating network, which it is. Okay, so I chose who would be allowed in. Usually, because I would read people's profiles and I could tell if they might be serious or they'd put serious thought into it. I really look for intentional daters to be part of that. So that's how we got people there. So what I'm really describing is kind of my funnel. It's kind of my marketing funnel, right? I built the landing page, and I have an advertising where I'm speaking what is the hook, what's capturing their attention, what's making them want to invest. Then they go to the next step. They get to the landing page, they see it, they like it, and then they choose to sign up, and they use that quiz that I described earlier. So now they've signed up and they have a quiz. Now I have these data points in them, the same data points, arguably way worse than whatever Hinge and Bumble have, but I have the same data points as them, and it allows me to kind of have a rough guesstimate about where people are at in terms of their emotional maturity and their emotional development. So once I had that, I was able to categorize them, and I could pretty easily tell which people would be a good, decent match for each other. So I had both men and women. I started communicating with them, very friendly, and ultimately I did it, right? So it's that simple. That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, it took me like 2 weeks to do that, and then I did like 4 weeks of advertising. And I had my first few clients after those first couple of weeks. Once I built the database, people built up trust, and they saw that I really didn't do too much. And then I had people, because people are willing to pay a lot to end their suffering, right? So I had all these people in the database, and then it just dawned on me, to be totally honest, why I didn't want to continue doing it. Yes, I had paying clients. Yes, people went on dates, and it was good feedback and all that. Trying to deal with two people's psyches when they're really not, like, I'm trying to get it out really quick. What I really learned is that what I was doing and why I did it and what I liked about it was the coaching. I like coaching people. I could find people that could be compatible and put them in a room together and hope for the best. But really, the real work was the coaching. And I found that men were very responsive, women were reasonably responsive. And, I bridged some gaps, and that was good. So I like the coaching. And so then I got into my second revenue generating business. I said, okay, well, if I like the coaching and working with people, and I find that to be the best way I can help people, I'm going to make a personal training company. So I found a place nearby where I live that had a gym. And this gym, it's not just like a 24-hour fitness. It's like, it was like it was like a clinic or something similar. I don't want to give too much away. But it basically had a private studio gym in it, and I just rent it. I said, hey, I'll give you $500 a month. Let me use that thing after your business closes, and their business ends at 4 p.m. every day. Okay. Now I go get some pictures of the studio, get some pictures of me lifting weights in it, create a website, make a brand, get it on Google, and now I'm advertising on Google. And so whenever someone searches personal trainer in my neighborhood, I show up, and then they reach out to me. And so I had, I do a free assessment. I bring them into the studio. Of course, again, these are mixed with my passion. This is where I'm talking about applying your genius. When you apply your genius to something that you like and enjoy, then you get a business. People will pay you for it. Especially if you can help them, end their suffering in some aspect or reduce their suffering. So the point being is that there's people out there looking for things that I was offering, and I just had to connect with them. So I built a landing page, drove people to it through Google Ads, brought them in, created a calendar, allowed them to schedule it, have them pay me. Now they got 8 sessions a month for X amount of dollars, and I made, a couple grand already just in 2 to 3 weeks. Boom. Okay, so you make a website using Lovable, and then you create a marketing funnel, which is your advertisement, which is a value proposition for them. Hey, do you have a goal, or are you fearful of something that I can help fix? And I can, and you can do it. You're not scamming them, so you actually can deliver on this. Then you bring them in, they get to their website, you answer all their questions on the landing page. I'm not going to go into all the details of marketing and website design and stuff. I think you probably that's the work. You got to go figure that out. But the point is like, once you do that, now they're in your funnel. Now they're sending you an email and they're asking for details about it. And now you're talking to them on the phone, and now you're sending them your pricing. And then 2 or 3 people, one of them is going to want to sign up, and then one of them signs up. And now you have clients. I have clients, after my day job. So my day job, I work, 8 to 4-ish, let's say. Then I just head over to the gym and I train clients for a few hours. And by the time it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I've made more money than I was before, and I'm building experience. I'm getting reviews on my Google and all this stuff. And this is all in a matter of weeks. Okay. So this is a way that I found that I'm able to, hey, I'm back. Sorry. I had to just take a phone call about my dad who's in the hospital. Talk about suffering. Anyways, I think I was describing this revenue generating business. So look, so now I've described kind of the mechanics of how you can actually utilize AI, and you can apply it to your own life relatively simply. And the real takeaway here, the real mechanic here is you have to find your genius, find the thing you're passionate about. When people say follow your dreams, this is what they actually mean. It's really about what is it that you do and know that makes you so passionate and happy about that you happen to know about it more so than other people, or at least you know enough that you're willing to do something about it, that you're willing to take action on it. Okay? There's plenty of entrepreneurs that probably aren't passionate about building roofs, yet they're passionate and they're driven because they take the time and action and know-how, they apply it all together to create a roofing business. Okay? So all of this is to say, what I would hope you would take away from this is that even if you don't know what you're passionate about, don't worry, I'm 35. It took me this long to figure it out. And at least I know at this much. I've even used, in this example I've described to you, I've used these 2 businesses that I've built in the past 7 weeks just to learn more about myself. I like the relationship aspect. Okay, well, I really like coaching people through relationships. And then so I like coaching. And then the personal training is I'm just coaching people and I'm encouraging them and I'm helping them grow. And those are things that I like. So Those are the things that I'm passionate about, and those are how I was able to monetize it and bring it into reality. Bring these thoughts of how do I help people? How can I reduce suffering? How can I be of value to people? I brought them into reality with a website and then a funnel. Okay, and it's really simple. So if you are watching this and you're a busy professional and you don't want to live in the rat race forever, you want to get out of this system, think about something you could do. And, I'll give you some free, I'll just think of a couple off the top of my head. You got those dog scooping businesses, those dog poop scooping businesses. It sounds silly. I might even do that one still. I might do that one. You want to know why? I'll make a website that advertises to all the people that don't want to scoop their dog's crap in my vicinity, and then I'll set them up on weekly schedules. I'm gonna do this right now. See, boom, there it is. It just hit me. So I'll make a website, that talks about how we scoop poop the best, and then I'm gonna drive people to it who have dogs and don't want to scoop up their poop. And then guess what? For a low monthly fee, $50 a month, someone will come by once a week and clean up all the poop in your yard. It'll look good. Boom. So now that means if I get 50 customers, that's a lot of revenue. And then I just have to hire someone. I don't want to go scoop poop. I'm too busy training people. Well, I'll hire someone to do it. That gives someone else a job. And they can learn and grow and get skills from that. Hopefully not from scooping poop. But there you go. That's it. That's a real thing that you can do. And there's people that do that right now. You just look it up in your neighborhood. I bet on Google. I bet there's people around you that are already doing that. You got a lawnmower? Okay. Start a landscaping company. See what happens. Go learn how to do it. Watch some YouTubes on how to, what are the basics of landscaping, and just start your website with the basics of landscaping, or really lawn mowing, leaf blowing. There's plenty of people that'll pay for that. Okay. Just focus on reducing their suffering, make their lives easier, better, be more helpful, generate value. And I wish I could say this as some uber successful multi-millionaire entrepreneur of many businesses. I've created several businesses, as I've already described, and I've created more in my past, and I've built and sold big factories and all this stuff. But you don't need to. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can just be simple. Okay. All right, so that's all for this time. If you like this, please like and subscribe. I'd love to make more. I want to help people. I got a lot more to share. Practical advice for everyone. Thanks.